Saira, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming over.
Sure.
And I know you had a fun ride over with
Yes.
the storm and everything, so everyone's still recovering.
Yeah.
And the transport's still...
The traffic is, sorting itself out.
Yeah, as it does. So I just kind of wanted to learn, I know you work for BT, and they're one of the biggest, obviously nationwide, they are huge. And I know there's so many different components and everything that's going on. There's so much that you guys do, so much you can talk about, so much you can't talk about, and there's this, and I know you have your own specific field. Yeah. So for today, it's just more to talk about BT and smart cities, what you guys are doing in that particular area, and maybe just learn more about everything which is happening. Mm-hmm. So if you can just give an introduction, it would be awesome.
So I sit in BT's group network strategy space. Yep. So we kind of look over developing and owning the integrated network strategy for the business across Wi-Fi, fixed, and mobile. So bringing it all together, trying to answer the big questions that involve kind of all parts of the business. So I'm a senior manager for planning and delivery of that team. Yep. And that means I kind of have I have a few hats in that role. One is looking over the portfolio. So what are the questions? How big are they? What's the priority order of when we need to answer them? Resourcing, who's working on them, et cetera. Bringing together all the people in the business and setting up that operating model that is collaborative, kind of both horizontally and vertically across the business. And then the other side of my job is helping deliver from a program management perspective pieces of work that bring multiple elements of the network strategy together. So whilst there might be someone on the team looking specifically at 5G, someone else looking at kind of what we're doing with fixed or edge, et cetera, if we're working on something that brings it all together, I will help program manage that. Also will try to create the leadership around specific topics, whether it's 5G, et cetera, from a kind of whole group perspective.
That's quite interesting. So, I mean, you brought up a really interesting word there, and that's collaboration. Yeah. And it's not something you'd expect from like a really big giant like BT. You'd think everything would be done in-house, and you kind of trying to create your own strategy and your own infrastructure. So in terms of collaboration, and I know, I mean, the rate technology is moving nowadays. It's just so fast. And every 3 months we're getting something new. Yeah. How important is collaboration nowadays compared to before?
Yeah, so I think obviously there will be things that BT does that are kind of trying to manage it end to end. But as you say, there's BT again is huge, right? And there's so many things that we're doing, and I think partnerships with government and application providers and all sorts. The whole thing also relies on partnerships. So BT definitely has closer relationships with councils, government, local, national, and businesses and small, medium. It's across the board. So I think collaboration internally and externally is a big part of what BT does.
And what are some of the key partners that you're always on the lookout for that you want to work with? So I know it must be a challenge because everyone wants to work with you.
I think it depends probably on the part of the business. Yeah. So, it's from hardware providers to people that the partners that want to put stuff on the ground. From whether we're using Huawei or Nokia or Ericsson or for those kind of bits, and we're also it's partnerships around. There's Google or, so they're big partnerships, and then there's small partnerships with, companies that are doing innovations in IoT or edge or whatever it may be. So it's a range of partnerships depending on where you are in the business and what you're looking at.
That's quite interesting, yeah. And actually, in terms of IoT, 5G connectivity at the moment, what's currently has BT's interest at the moment? Is there anything particularly you guys are quite keen on that you think, because I know you do a lot of landline stuff, so with fiber optics, with OpenReach, but in terms of 5G, are you helping with the actual implementation of that, or where do you stand? BT owns EE, and EE is the largest operator, mobile operator. So quite obvious, and we're the first to launch 5G.
So heavily in that space, obviously trying to work out strategies on where we go with it. I think we've been building on top of our strong 4G network.
Yeah.
But then, once you cover that area, where do you go next? Where do you target? Is it,
Exactly.
is it based, where's the value both to the customer and to BT?
Yes.
In terms of a specific area, I think you're kind of asking what's most interesting to
Yeah.
BT. I think it's kind of a cop-out answer, but there is no one thing that's most exciting. I think it's all really exciting because kind of moving beyond making. I think you can't make money off of just plain connectivity anymore because people feel like that's a basic human right. It's like water or whatever. You just expect to be connected.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like what next, and all of that will be about the future capabilities that 5G will bring, IoT, smart cities, smart solutions. It's about solving customer pain points.
Oh, that's awesome. So that does bring me back to another point, because with 5G, IoT, they are the infrastructure and fundamentals of a smart city.
Yeah.
So I know you guys, the way we differentiate smart cities is very different when you're dealing with a developing country. Because you can kind of build a city from scratch and you can build the infrastructure and everything's kind of at go. But a country like the United Kingdom, which has got a lot of history, it's got a lot of old infrastructure, it's so much more challenging.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to building anything really, what are some of the key challenges that you have to kind of deliver on and jump on? Because it's more urban revitalization rather than building a smart city, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure I know all the answers to that from a BT perspective, but I can say kind of the Saira Haider view of that, which is, that's a fair point. And BT even itself is one of those kind of old bits of the UK, right? In a way.
That's a very good way of thinking about it as well,
we just gone through a rebrand. We're about to move into new offices in Aldgate. So right now our BT Centre office is near St. Paul's, and I think in about a year or so we're moving to Aldgate, which will have, there are probably much grander reasons for why that may be, but that's an example of sort of starting fresh, right? We get to design a whole building, in a smart way that's useful with a showcase space, et cetera, to collaborate. So, we deal with that internally in terms of trying to solve the what's old, starting new, rebuilding.
Innovating within.
Exactly. Innovating within. Are you innovating on top of or alongside, et cetera? So in terms of, challenges that we seek when trying to work with councils, et cetera, I can't say exactly because I'm not doing the working with the councils. But I would agree, it's getting past the challenges of different systems. Even if you were to go into, if anyone wanted to penetrate, let's say health, the NHS is a very, disparate system in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all working on different systems. So if you wanted to say try to go help health use case, it's where do you begin? You have to start small. You can't just solve the whole problem at once.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great point. That there are huge challenges.
Especially with the UK, because one of the things that we were talking and discussing upon is you can't just be we're going to create a smart city in London, because there's so many different boroughs in London, so many districts, and they have their own councils, and you're going to have to just take a part of that and then start building in that one specific area. And in terms of, the UK in general, is there a specific area that BT is always looking at to improve, or is it always London, or are there other cities because UK is huge, and there's so many different components in it. So are you always focusing on one, or how does it really work?
Good question. I think at the moment there's no let's go solve, whatever, right?
Yeah. Let's fix Birmingham.
Newcastle or something, or Birmingham or what, right? Because so at the moment there's no strategy for that. At the moment, I think we try to address customer pain points, try to reach areas, that are most densely populated, where our solutions will have an effect on the most number of people. Also doing a lot on, trying to solve the rural areas in terms of connectivity. And then, again, in terms of smart city type solutions, it would obviously be where it's most useful.
Yeah.
You're not going to, presumably, again, I'm speaking on my own terms
No,
here,
no,
but go into, a tiny area that it doesn't really affect that many people,
Yeah.
Unless you're kind of piloting there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so I think if, in terms of smart cities, you go into where,
Where it adds most value.
Where it
right?
adds the most value, right?
100%. And that does tie into my other point, because we are talking about the UK, but I know BT stands for British Telecom,
Yeah.
but does it have any links to international links, or do you do anything abroad, or is this purely focused on the UK?
No, so I mean, BT's a global company, so there are offices in the US and all over. So it's not purely UK. I think my team, specifically in terms of network strategy, is looking at the UK. So a lot of what we're doing, I guess, in BT Centre, though there's the global team in that building as well, is focused on the UK. But there's a whole global part of the business that is looking elsewhere as well. That's selling global solutions.
And do those global solutions also include smart cities, if you know, or the development of any infrastructure?
I don't actually know, but they do a lot of cloud solutions. They would obviously have to be, it's about global accounts, so it would be companies that are here and elsewhere.
Yes.
So that, not being in the global part of the business, I can't speak to it, but if it was a solution, it would have to be kind of transferable. Does that make sense?
It does.
It wouldn't be focused,
it won't be
unless there was a team out in wherever looking specifically there, but I think my understanding is no. I think, but my area is specifically looking probably at the UK.
Oh, no, that's perfect. Thank you so much. And so I think almost coming to an end now, and I think the last question I probably have is, what are you most looking forward to in the next coming years? Or if that you can say. I know there's a lot of...
I think what's exciting for BT is, and especially in the area that I'm in, is bringing together, is taking the power of the fact that we're a company that sort of uniquely provides Wi-Fi fixed and mobile, and it's what's most exciting is the journey we're on to try to bring that all together into a converged network, so that people are moving seamlessly from one to the other.
That's it, yeah.
Hopefully solving problems about, whether you're inside or outside, or connecting from one thing to the other, and it all just sort of happens. Yeah, so I think that's hopefully on the horizon, right, where we're moving into a world where that happens, and us kind of being a major player in making those kinds of things happen.
It makes sense, because we have a lot of, Samsung's done a whole showcase of this on... IKEA's looking into it as well, creating smart homes where you can just push a button. But you have IoT, you have 5G that you're developing. All the infrastructure is going to be fundamental to plug in to each of these things that these other companies are also producing. And so we are really going towards that future where you push a button, or not even push a button.
You don't even have to push a button.
It's just you're on your way home, and then everything knows you're on your way home, and then
everything works. Yeah. So, and I think so. In addition to kind of that converged aspect of the network, all the things that I think there isn't 5G, IoT, edge compute, they don't sit
independently in their own box.
They actually all are related to each other, and will hopefully kind of work together for an end user in a way.
Exactly.
As an experience, so it's bringing all of those things together.
And that's where the real value is as well. Working in synergy, and not just the technologies, but also companies as well, working together, collaborating, and in synergy to then really show and boost that value to us people.
Exactly. And I think smart cities, I think people kind of think about certain use cases in isolation, whether it's smart manhole covers or surveillance or whatever it might be. But I think people are not even quite yet thinking about the whole city being a smart city and what that means. So I think we're still sort of in the infancy of just looking at singular use cases rather than the city.
And I think another issue
together.
And the thing that we specifically at World Smart Cities Forum look at is it's people centric. So if people aren't in the center of everything that you're building, then it's pointless,
Yeah.
right? And so like smart cities are there to help build communities, to help bring people together. And we're just using technology to make that seamless.
Yeah.
And so it has to work together, and people have to work together. So just another quick thing, are there any other examples that you can actually tell us that you've worked on in the last 5 to 6 years?
Yeah, so I think BT has been involved in kind of smart city type solutions for years. And back in 2015, in Gloucester for the Rugby World Cup,
Wow.
BT was involved with the kind of smart surveillance for that. And in 2017, they just ended, I guess 3 years ago, but there's a 3-year project that ended in 2017 for Milton Keynes. It was called MK Smart.
Yeah.
And BT was involved in kind of a host of solutions from transport to waste management to smart water solutions, smart parking, etc. And Northumbrian Water, they've worked with as well for smart metering, smart water metering. What else? And I think another good example is like with businesses, it's called the counter drone solution, which is to help businesses basically spot threats. So it's like a drone on a drone, sort of. Yeah. Spotting nasty drones. So they've already done loads, and that's just like a handful of examples. But
that's amazing. It's
kind of, I think, kind of going forward, it's more of the same, but maybe thinking about, do you focus in one sector, or do you, because we can do so much, do we just continue to do so much across a variety of areas?
100%, and I think it also just depends on the challenges that are happening in each of the different areas.
Like addressing certain problems, right?
Correct,
so in Gloucester they needed surveillance for the Rugby World Cup, so you can answer a certain problem, or you can try to do a whole smart city or something.
That's awesome. But Saira, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming and giving me your time.
It was good to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Sure.